Hello, welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. I see. Makina greets me the moment I'm in the door, even more cheerfully than usual. And when I try to ask her about her negotiations with her mother, she just answers, "It's okay now," without shedding any light whatsoever on what's okay or how. Since she clearly isn't eager to recount the conversation, I can't bring myself to pursue the line of questioning too vigorously. In any case, Makina's expression is so genuinely bright that I can't help feeling slightly relieved, assuming that the discussion must have ended on a fairly promising note. Putting a hand on Makina's head as she smiles innocently, I ruffle her hair around violently like always. A striking scent floats up and fills my nose. This mixture of fruity shampoo and oddly sweet-smelling sweat is Makina's distinctive scent, unlike any other woman's. It leaves a youthful, almost childish impression. It's a deeply pleasant moment, almost like I've slipped my chilled body into a nice hot bath. But soon enough, a murmuring electronic rumble brings it to an end. Is that my phone? I take out my private cell phone to find the name Swirl Amane displayed on the caller ID screen. Amane? Weird. Why would she bother to call?
あまねなら今お豆腐を買いに駅前のスーパーまで行ってるのよさ。
Wonder if she forgot her wallet or something. This is Kazumi.
ユージ、大変なのよ。
Went shopping without your purse or something?
そうじゃないのよ。燃えてるの。大変すっごい燃えてる。うわ、今バーンって言った。バーンって。
Calm down. What's burning?
パン屋さんよ。パン屋さんが燃えてるの。
What about the bakery? What are they burning?
だから火事よ火事。マキナのバイト先のパン屋さんが火事で燃えてるの。どうしよう。
What?
何？どうしたの？なんかあったの？
It's the bakery by the station. She says it's on fire. Hey, Makina, wait.
ユージ？ちょっとユージ、聞いてるの？
Amane, are you in a safe place right now?
あ、
Then stay where you are until the fire department gets there. Keep your distance and don't try anything stupid.
わかった。
Makina went running out, so I'm going to follow her. She's almost certainly headed over there.
マキナが大丈夫なの？
I'll take care of it. Hang up now. A fire at the bakery. Bullets through the window just the other day, and now it's burning. There isn't a chance that's a coincidence. As I rush out of the dorm in pursuit of Makina, my mind is already fixed on the worst possible hypothesis. This has to be arson. The night sky is dyed with pale orange light, the air filled with the foul stink of a large-scale fire. The station streets are already crowded with onlookers, surrounding the bakery where the blaze began from a cautious distance. This is really scaring me. Again, she must have reflexively tried to run into the bakery only to be restrained by a nearby bystander. One arm in the grip of a neighborhood houseway, Makina stands in the street, not screaming, not shouting. Just staring at the burning building in blank shock, her breath caught in her throat, still as a statue. Makina, are you alright? The powerful agitation that drove her from the door, losing in its external alloy, seems to have flowed down her back and turned her legs to jelly. Makina's knees tremble so violently it seems she might collapse at any moment. Makina, as she mumbles the words in tones of blank disbelief, I feel a heavy lump of uneasiness settling in the pit of my belly like a stone. My stomach squeezes in on itself painfully. Bathed in the transfixing orange light, people are desperately moving back and forth in front of the burning building. Casting vivid shadows across the ground as they relay water toward the flames. Among them are many familiar faces, mostly men from the shopping district. Amane, her long hair thoroughly disheveled, swinging buckets down the line. Amane! Noticing me as I step forward to join the relay, Amane's eyes find Makina at my side. She rushes over instantly.
Yuuji! Makina!
What the heck happened?
わかんない。なんか聞いた話だと放火だって。
Person. I fight down the urge to curse in frustration. It's one thing after the other with these people. In any case, we need to fight the fire. Is there anyone left inside?
大丈夫。ご主人も奥さんも無事に逃げ出したから。
Amane points to Makina's employer, sitting flat on the ground with pure incomprehension on his face. His wife crouches behind him, her face buried in the small of his back, sobbing frantically. Amane, look after Makina. Turning my back on Amane's dazed, suit-stained face, I run to join the relay line. Until the fire department arrives, we have to focus on keeping the flames from spreading.
Makina! ちょっとMakina!
I've seen many people weeping under many different circumstances, but this is the first time it felt this painful to watch. After all this time, she finally worked up the courage to try and leave the curse of their Irisu family behind. Of her own free will, she took a small but deeply meaningful first step forward, a simple part-time position at a neighborhood bakery. As she learned the job through steady effort, Makina told me about her dream of opening a store of her own someday. True, that might have been a little more than the simplistic fantasy of a child. But even knowing that it might never be realized, she had a goal. She had a vision of her own bakery, of buying a home where we could live together. This job was her first small precious step toward that objective. And now it's gone just like that, smashed to pieces by irrational violence. The shop's windows lie shattered by the heat of the fire, as tendrils of flame lick persistently at the walls. The handmade signboard slowly burns down. It's the same sign that was hit in the drive-by shooting the other day. The handsome piece of wood has already begun to carbonize, but I can still make out the bullet hole. A tongue of flames bounced through it, silently chiding, "We weren't here, didn't we?" The arsonists must have been members of their Isu's branch family. Even if their superiors admonished them to leave Makina alone, it's clearly not an order they're willing to accept. A faction within the branch house covered up the girl's existence for years, hoping to deceive the main family. And when the facts came to light, they reaped what they'd sown. A preemptive attack nearly killed their candidate for head of their Suzaibatsu. I can sympathize with the rage it must have caused the branch family when their figurehead was wounded. But Makina's hardly the person they should be taking out on, let alone her employer. This is just a childish spasm of violence. As I stare up at the burning store, I feel a strange heat spreading across my face. It has less to do with the temperature of the air than the emotions boiling up inside me. Eventually, the local fire department arrives on the scene, and in the blink of an eye, the flames are extinguished. Fortunately, the only damage is to property. The bakery on the first floor has been destroyed, but there are no injuries. But as the owner sinks to his knees and moans in agonized disbelief, I can't find any words of comfort. As I carry Makina to the dorm, Imane tries her best to comfort the girl, but she just buries her face in my back and doesn't respond. Ever since she was a child, she's had to deal with those deranged by power or money aiming for her life. The girl might even be somewhat used to it by now. Even so, the guilt of having dragged completely unrelated people into this seems about ready to crush her flat. At such times, the kinder the people around you act, the more you'll close yourself off from them, more than anything else, out of the fear that you'll end up bringing them misfortune too. Help. And Makina doesn't grow any more talkative after our return. With that one sentence, she disappears by herself.
結局何があったわけ？なんであの子はあんなに落ち込んでんのよ。だからあの子のバイト先のパン屋さんが火事になっちゃったんだってさっき説明したでしょ。でも誰も怪我しなかったんでしょ。みんな無事だったんでしょ。だったらそれを喜べばいいじゃない。なんであんなこの世の終わりみたいな顔してんのよ。別にあの子のせいで店が火事になったわけじゃないでしょうに。それはそうなんだけど。
I haven't explained any of the details to Imane, but judging from the way her sentence trails off awkwardly, she seems to have her suspicions.
イリスさんに責任はないけれど、無関係とは言い切れないし、苦しいところね。
何よ由美子、あんたは何か知ってるのね。
知っているだけよ。知っていても何もしてあげられないこのもどかしさ、何も知らないあなたが羨ましいぐらいだわ。
どういう意味よそれ。
Don't fight, okay? If you absolutely have to know, I'll tell you, but even if you end up regretting you asked, it'll be pretty hard to forget. You sure you want to know?
何よそれ。聞くと呪われる都市伝説的な話。
Unfortunately, this is non-fiction.
それは聞いてしまえばマキちゃんを見る目が変わってしまうようなそんな類のお話なのでしょうか。
Pretty much.
だったら私は聞きたくありません。私は今のマキちゃんが大好きですから。
You're a good girl, Sachi.
何よそれじゃあまるで私が悪い子みたいじゃないのよ。私だって別にマキナの秘密を知ってどうこうしようってわけじゃないのよ。ただこのままじゃ私あの子にどんな態度で接すればいいのかちょっとわかんないっていうか、つまりどうすりゃいいのよ。はっきり言ってくんないとわかんないのよ。私バカだから。
Don't worry about it too much. Just interact with her the same as always. If you clumsily try to comfort her or something, Makina would probably just get even more depressed. Nobody wants to get pitied by an idiot.
バカって言うなバカって。
You just said it yourself, woman.
ねえユージ、
What?
私もさあんまり腹芸が得意な方じゃないし考えてることが顔や言葉に出るタイプだから知らない方がいいとは思うんだけど。それでも一つだけ確認しておきたいことがあるんだけど聞いてもいい？
Go ahead.
もしかしてあの子実家に帰っちゃうの？
That's hard to say. Sorry, but only Makina knows. What makes you think so in the first place?
去年の夏休みだったかな。私があの子に実家には帰らないのって聞いたらあの子こう答えたのよ。
私は実家には帰れない女なのよ。
ん？なんで？
帰ったら多分もう二度とここには戻ってこれないと思うの。
なんでさ。
うまく説明できないのに、そりゃね、実家に帰るのが一番だってのは分かっているのよ。でも実家に帰ったらきっとこの学園のみんなとはもう二度と会えなく、マネーもユミちゃんもチルチルもチズチズだってみんなもう会えなくなる。それだけは絶対嫌なのよさ。
そっか、なんかよくわかんないけど、そんじゃ帰らなきゃいいんじゃない？
でもいつかは帰らなきゃいけない日が来ると思う。だけどその日が来るまでは自分から。
お、帰るな。そんじゃさ、今年は私の実家に帰ろうか。一緒に京都に行こう。なんか今日のマキナを見てるとあの日のマキナを思い出すのよね。あの子がああいう顔をする時って決まって実家の話の時だから気になっちゃって。
I see.
あまねさん、榊さん、みちる様、それに学園長さんまで名前が挙がっているというのに、サッチンの名前が挙がらないのはなぜなのでしょうか。
いや、去年の夏休みはあんたまだこの学園にいなかったでしょうが。
そうでした。幸うっかりです。
あんたさ、なんか時々すごいバカよね。
やめてください。みちる様に言われると本気で落ち込みます。
どういう意味かな。
とにかく今私たちが彼女にしてあげられることは限られているわ。
私たちに何かできることってあるの？
そうね、いつも通りでいてあげることぐらいかしら。
This is making me feel so useless. I think she'd appreciate that more than anything else right now.
私たちにはそれぐらいしかできないけれど、風見くん、あなたにはあなたにしかできないことがあるのではなくて。
Something only I can do.
スオさん、イリスさんは今どこに？
なんか一人になりたいって言って部屋を出て行っちゃったけど、多分自分の部屋に行ったんじゃないかな。
そうだそうよ、風見くん。
Are you telling me to comfort her?
得意でしょ？
Not sure where you got an idea like that. Normally, Makina is so clingy, it's alright irritating, but every once in a while, she'll suddenly disappear on you. For example, when she gets all stubborn over some small thing and ends up getting in a fight. Or maybe cranky mornings after nights full of bad dreams. When she doesn't want to let anyone see her face, Makina will quietly vanish. But it's not as though the girl melts away into thin air. She always leaves her clues behind. When a woman says, "Don't look for me," it means, "Come find me right now." I think it was my big sister who taught me that when I was still very young. And this discarded sock caught unnaturally in Makina's door is probably her silent, "Don't look for me." Makina, you in there? Entering Makina's room for the first time, I find it dim and gloomy. I flick the switch on the wall next to the door, but the lights don't come on. A dark, empty room. There's nothing in the way of furniture, none of the daily necessities of life. The girl carried everything she uses regularly into Amane's room, leaving nothing behind here, as if prepared to disappear at any moment. Almost like a cat making its own lonely grave. Makina's nearly empty room is lit only by moonlight trickling in through the window. When my eyes adjust to find her curled up tightly on the floor, my heart gives a little jump of surprise. It feels almost like I'm looking at myself in the old days, as though the unpleasant memories I tried to lock away have forced their way into reality. Makina. I kneel by her side and gently reach out to Makina's cheek, still damp from before she cried herself to sleep. It's warmer to the touch than unexpected. When I rest a hand on her small fist, the girl reflexively seizes hold of my fingers and squeezes them tightly, just like an overgrown infant. She can't ask anyone for help. She knows her friends will do everything they can if she does. But even so, she can't ask. Anyone she turns to for help will suffer for it, because the girl understands that her lips are sealed. She doesn't want to cause trouble for the people she cares for. It will be too painful to have them grow resentful or exasperated with her weakness. So instead, she curls up in a dark place where no one can see her and wishes she was dead. She dreams of fading away quietly without bothering anyone. When you're warped this badly, an uncertain hand tentatively outstretched can bring nothing but pain. Still, I can't help but reach out to touch her. Even knowing my hypocrisy will hurt Makina, I can't do anything else. In the old days, when I'd stopped caring about anything, my master simply turned back, reached out a hand, and said, "Grab hold," and today I can only do the same. After that, it all comes down to whether she can find the willpower to take it. Honestly, I'm disgusted with myself. I hate that I don't have any other answers. I want to do something for her. Those feelings turn around fruitlessly in my head, producing nothing but frustration. Before I even know what I'm doing, I take Makina's chin in my hand and kiss her pink and slightly parted lips. The girl's mouth smells like sugary bubblegum. I've touched these lips several times before, but today they're disturbingly cold. There's something ephemeral about the experience. It almost feels like she'll die unless I warm them up.
Papa.
Did I wake you up?
起きてたのよさ。
You don't say.
パパからキスしてくれたの初めてよね。
Is it?
キスはしてくれるのに、どうしてそこから先は何もしてくれないの？
I don't know if exactly that's the relationship we have. Because I'm your father, I'm not going to do anything you don't want me to.
いいのよ。パパなら嫌じゃないのよ。
All of a sudden, the somber atmosphere seems to transform completely. Makina is not exactly a girl you'd associate with the word seductive. Her childish innocence practically defines her. But right now, she's got a surprisingly dirty twinkle in her eye. No matter how youthful the girl may look, it seems she's at least managed to pick up the slyness of an adult woman. What's this all of a sudden? Did your mother say something?
別に何も。
I see. Makina doesn't elaborate. Her voice is tinged with resignation, as though she's decided that talking won't do any good. It sounds unpleasantly cold to my ears.
パパは私のためにいろいろしてくれてるのに、私はパパに何もしてあげられない。だから、
Look,
好きなこ
Makina,
としてい
that
いん
is
だ
not
よ。
the same. I hear your breathe sigh, scratching my head, amusement. Scratching in my head. Yeah, okay. Just like women want that sort of emotional connection and comfort level, men need their reasons and excuses to sleep with someone.
女を抱くのに理由が必要なの？
It's easy enough to take advantage of overwrought women, but it's sort of a matter of pride. If we're gonna do this, then I don't think he can keep being your papa then. If you sleep with a man just to distract yourself, you'll end up regretting it.
後悔なんてしないし、もししたとしても バカだな、だから言ったのにって笑えばいいのよさ。
As she speaks, Makina puts both her hands on the wooden floor and marches unsteadily off the ground. If we're going to do this, he is not your papa anymore. He's your lover. Hey, I reflexively reach out a hand to support the girl as she wobbles precariously, but she wards it off with a little slap.
一人で立てるよ。子供じゃないし。
Isn't being pointlessly stubborn over things like that more than a little childish?
子供じゃないもん。
Makina makes it to her feet, unsteady as a newborn foal, and leans back against the window with a thump. Then reaches her small, stubby hands to her collarbone, seizing the ribbon of her school uniform.
Ne? 子供じゃないんだよ。
I see. Actually, I'm having a hard time following the logic here. The first word that comes to mind is underdeveloped. The band and bust have grown differently, producing the so-called triangular shape to people, and she's got small breasts. If I were to yell, "You're not making a convincing case here, kid," and deliver a karate chop to the dome of her head, this runaway train would probably come crashing to a halt. But you've got to give the girl credit for her effort and courage, right? Taking in the spectacle, I nod my head in approval of nothing in particular.
ねえ、パパ。私を抱いてよ。
Say what? This little punk. I'd always known she was cheeky, but now she's actually trying to seduce me.
それとも、私みたいな女は嫌？抱きたくない？何してもいいんだよ。
I was wondering where this was coming from. Sounds like she might have gotten a few ideas from Amane. Well, no, shouldn't pass the buck. I'm the one who made her say all this. You really ready for this? When I pull her close, I feel Makina's warmth settle in my arms. After the last few days, it's already a familiar sensation. Holding the girl like this inspires both guilt at having finally made her mine, and a new, surprisingly powerful awareness of her as a woman. Her shoulders are slender, her head small against my chest, not exactly voluptuous, and she doesn't make much of a pillow, but I can feel my determination to keep this soft little creature safe growing even more absolute. There are two times when a woman will start making particularly unreasonable demands. The first is when she wants to confirm that a man loves her, and the second is when she's decided to leave that man. I'm pretty sure what happened last night with Makina falls into the latter category, so when I wake up to find she's no longer lying at my side, I'm not particularly flustered or even surprised. I see. She left, huh? If anything, resigned might be a better word. Most likely, Makina's decided not to trouble anyone, to go off and fight all alone. I talked pretty darn big about becoming her father, but in the end, I guess I couldn't do much of anything for the girl. Even so, maybe my presence in her life helped Makina find the courage to stand on her own like this. That pathetic, self-serving theory is my only comfort right now. Makina. When I mumble her name, there's a sharp twinge of loneliness in my chest. The thought of never feeling that small body settle onto my lap again makes me sigh out loud. If she's made up her mind to go, there's nothing I can do. If she just decided to confront them all on her own, it's not my place to interfere. But did you really have to vanish without saying a word, Makina? I'm not going to start complaining about something you decided on your own, and I'm not thoughtless enough to try tagging along on a road you want to walk alone. Well, I mean, not that I wanted you to imitate a certain shaggy-headed German woman and write "bye-bye" on the window in lipstick or anything. Seem to remember that making me less sentimental and more irritated. But still, would it have killed you to say, "I'm going now," to my back as I pretended to sleep or something? Shame the girl vanished before I could teach her that sort of romantic etiquette. The only thing Makina's left behind in this room is a faint trace of her sweet body odor lingering in the air. Looking more closely, there's actually a few pieces of junk the girl seems to have carried in here at some point, hadn't even noticed. When leaving a man's room, a woman's supposed to carefully gather up all her personal belongings, then toss a single pair. And I guess nobody explained that to her either. But I guess it's going to be a while before I can teach her anything again. My maudlin thoughts are interrupted by a shout from the lobby outside. I look up reflexively. This idiotic voice, completely wiping out the motivation of all who hear it.
よく来たな。ビール飲むかこのプタ。お前電話鳴っているよ。早く出ろこのプタ。
Sure enough, a certain individual is rudely thumping away at a giant lump of wheat flour, keeping up a constant stream of abuse in the pidgin Japanese of a foreign hostess. Even in this dormitory, there aren't many people who keep up this sort of bizarre behavior first thing in the morning. Makina, why are you still here? Weren't you going off to have a showdown with your mother, or confront your destiny or whatever?
もっと欲しいのかこのプタ。癒しプタよ。パンのくせにこのパン。
As the girl vigorously assaults the flower while bathing it in abuse, I call out to her small back. Hey, Makina.
社長も帰るか。そっか。また来るがいい。
About face.
お
Don't, me kid, what are you snarling about?
誰かと思えば社長さん。
Since when was I president of anything? What are you doing out here?
ちっ見てわからねえものは聞いてもわからねえぜお嬢ちゃん。
Who the heck are you calling a princess?
見ての通り小麦粉を練っているのよさ。外国人ホステスプレーで。
Calling something roleplay doesn't automatically make it kosher, kid. Most likely she's picked up that way of speaking from the hostesses that do their shopping down by the station, but... That job at the bakery really seems to have expanded her sphere of relationships in some slightly weird directions.
ねえ、パン食べるでしょ？待っててね、すぐ焼くから。
Cheerfully adding, and by a sec, I mean it's gonna take an hour, Makina turns her back to me. Then she begins roughly chopping up the thoroughly degassed dough and rolling it into balls. Tell me something, Makina.
はあ？何さ？
Last night, you talked with your mother over the telephone, right?
ああ、うん。そうね。
Are you not going to tell me the result?
別に秘密にしてるわけじゃないのよ。帰りたくないなら帰ってこないでいいって、ただそんだけのことなのよさ。
You don't have to go back? Is that really what she told you?
私のことはもう諦めたんじゃないかな。ほら、人の噂も四十九日って言うし、もうどうでもいいって思ってるのよさ、きっと。
Okay, for one thing, the saying is 75 days.
そうだっけ？
Is this the time to be cackling like an idiot? Does she really think the problem's been resolved, that we can keep up this peaceful life? The idea is ridiculous. If the situation was simple enough to settle with a quick chat over the phone, things never would have gotten this bad in the first place. I'd love for this calm daily life to go on forever, but unfortunately, I've got a very strong premonition things are only going to get worse. And for whatever reason, my instincts are regrettably reliable when it comes to things like this. The phone vibrating in my chest pocket is my work cell. When I slowly retrieve it and calmly check the screen, a small LED indicates I have a new email. Fighting down the urge to click my tongue in frustration, I take a look at the subject line. From CO to 9029. Official communication to agent number 9029 from his case officer. In other words, a direct order from JB to me. And as for the contents of the message itself, present yourself at the main office, 1400 hours. It's two extremely blunt sentences conveying nothing but the when and where. I check the watch on my left arm. The current time's 12:12. I heave a single heavy sigh, then snap my cell phone shut and get to my feet.
はあ、ユージ、ちょうどよかった。今呼びに行こうとしてたところなのよ。
What's up? Need something?
何ってお昼ご飯だよ。
Oh, lunch.
何？どっか出かけるの？
Yeah, the boss over at my part-time job wants me to stop by the main office.
じゃあ、あんたお昼どうするの？
I'll just grab something from a convenience store or fast food place on the way.
5分ぐらい待ってる時間ない？
I double-check my watch. Well, 5 minutes or so wouldn't be a problem.
じゃあ待ってて、お弁当用意してあげる。
That's not really...
すぐだからね。
Hey, well, that woman being pushy isn't anything new. No use fighting it this late in the game. Might as well just wait obediently and save myself trouble later. But 5 minutes later, Amane is not the one who shows up.
パパ、お仕事行くの？
Yeah, they called me in for a bit. Shouldn't take long though.
どうして呼び出されたの？なんか悪いことしたの？
Well, nothing really comes to mind. This happens all the time though, nothing to get worried about.
本当に？私に内緒でなんか危ないこととかしちゃ嫌よ。
It's fine. I said it's nothing to worry about, right? That said, I was lying when I said nothing comes to mind. They've probably got something to say about that little shooting incident at the Mishima Cape police station.
じゃあ頑張って働いてくるのよ。これお弁当。
Apparently satisfied for the moment, the girl rustles around and pulls out a paper sack, then hands it to me. Thanks. What's inside?
MQI4 新開発の高純メロンパンの4型なのよさ。
Super saturated?
高圧新純メロンパン。パンのソーセージに加圧した水蒸気で生地の中に水分を閉じ込めた新製法なの。外はサクサク、中はしっとりもちもちなメロンパンなのよ。
These things are pretty darn heavy.
通常のメロンパンと違って比重が約 1.25 あるのよさ。業界初水に沈むメロンパンなのよ。引っ張り強度が通常比で 2.7 倍。噛み応えもバッチリなのよさ。
Not sure if I really understand the details, but sounds like quite the culinary experience.
食感はエアインのお餅みたいな感じだから喉に詰まらせないようによく噛んで食べるのよ。
Understood. Alright, I'll be on my way.
気をつけてね。
Yeah. Well, hopefully I managed to convince her this isn't a big deal, but honestly, it's always a little depressing to get a summons like this. Since JB's actually called me into the office instead of communicating through email or telephone, this is probably going to be a fairly serious discussion. As a general rule, when an older woman gets an earnest look on her face and says, "We need to talk," nothing good's going to come out of it. Love it. The message from JB just specified the main office as our meeting place. Of course, she didn't mean the actual headquarters of our organization in America, but the Japanese HQ. It's borrowing some space a little more locally. Getting to the building in question involves catching a civilian railway company train from Mishima Cape, transferring to Japan Railways in Shinagawa, then taking the subway from Hirakucho in Tokyo. Arriving at the station platform with some time to spare, I settled down on a bench, then opened the paper sack I received from Makina. Inside, as promised, are a number of bright yellow pastries. They're typical melon buns by appearance, but when I pick one up, it really is bizarrely heavy for its size. Taking the bun in both hands, I open my mouth wide and take a big bite. It's almost like crunching into a cookie and a bagel at once. Certainly a novel melon bun experience. The girl might be onto something. After completing my quick and sugary lunch, I endured an unpleasant train ride into the city, passing the time speculating about the reason I've been summoned. I'd been called to headquarters plenty of times before. The first was on the day I returned to Japan. As an employee newly transferred from the United States, I offered a formal greeting to the chief of my new branch office and filled out the paperwork to enroll in a training school where I'd learn how things were done in Japan. My second summons to HQ came after I completed my basic studies to arrange my transfer to a more advanced school for the second half of my training. My third summons came when, unable to endure the starvation rations at the advanced training school, a few classmates and I cooked and ate some carp from the bond on campus. My fourth summons came when they wanted my expertise as SPP, Specialized Proficiency Personnel, testing out some newly developed equipment. And after finishing my second round of training and being deployed into the field, I was called in several times a year to be given some special jobs that weren't recorded in the Japanese office's books. In other words, when I'm called into HQ, they're either angry with me or they have an annoying job to foist off on me. Either way, it's nothing to look forward to. After arriving at my stop on the 4 line, I climb up out of the subway, cross a bridge lined with cherry blossom trees, and take the fork at the police station toward Yasukuni Street. Within 5 minutes, our front gate comes into view. There's a guard in a smart blue uniform standing at the main entrance. Despite appearances, he's just a rent-a-cop from a private security firm. For what it's worth, there's a security station just inside staffed by actual company employees, but the tools hanging from their shoulders don't have any filling stuffed inside. Always makes me wonder why they feel the need to bother lugging those heavy things around in the first place. Maybe it's a religious thing. In any case, most of the defense systems actually protecting headquarters are outsourced to a variety of civilian security companies. The guards standing around in the lobby are mostly for show, I'd expect. Nestled in the corner of a structure with the romantic name of C Building is the office of my beloved superior, Haradera Yuria, a section chief in the 2nd Division. Not exactly a spacious room, but since JB transferred in as foreign capital, it was a hard-won prize. This office is a symbol of her successful struggle for promotion from acting section chief to a formal command. A certain group of boorish individuals have been known to mock this room as a kennel in reference to the work that goes on in here, but you'd need a pretty black sense of humor to laugh at that particular joke. Number 9029, reporting in. Even as I offer the standard greeting, my eyes briefly find the room's built-in security camera and confirm that it's currently active. At this characteristic bit of shrewdness on my part, maybe cowardice is the better word, JB gives a disdainful little snort and looks up at her clock.
相変わらず 時間には正確ね。まあそこにおかけなさい。
Please excuse me.
何か飲む？
I'd appreciate that, thank you. Even though I'm talking to JP, this is the company's main office, and I'm addressing my superior. Can't exactly give her the usual routine. I've always found that a little awkward, honestly. Probably one of the reasons I harbor a mild dislike for this room. JB picks up the telephone on her desk, combs up a stray look of shaggy blonde hair, then presses the receiver to her left ear.
キアラ、コーヒーを2つお願い。そう、私の分はデカフェで。
Even got yourself a secretary now, eh? Cheeky girl.
何か言った？
No, nothing at all. Perhaps you're hearing things, man?
ああ、もうなんか気持ち悪いわね。あなたの敬語を聞いてると逆にバカにされてるみたいでムズムズする。もういいわよ。普通に喋りなさい。
That certainly works for me.
失礼します。
Oh, hi. With a few crisp words, a woman in a white uniform, who's presumably JB's personal assistant, enters the room. At a glance, she's maybe 24 years old, a good bit younger than JB. Her hair is an unusual silvery shade of gray, neatly trimmed. Her skin's dark, and her pink painted lips are very thick. A good bit of African ancestry, but judging from the big bluish eyes behind her glasses, she's probably mixed race. Couldn't guess her nationality just to look at her. Guess you could call that a fairly representative trait for those in this particular posting. The personal assistant places the coffee cup on the table in front of me, her face blank and uninviting. Yeah, I've been working under that designation for the last few years.
よろしければ握手を。
The woman holds out her hand with a smile you'd almost think she learned from a textbook, but her eyes hold more than a bit of skepticism. The number 9029 has a special significance within this organization, understandable enough to feel a little dubious about the legendary agent in question being a brat like me.
909は何人もいるって言うけど本当？あなたは何人目？キアラ、ご苦労様。退出して結構よ。それと、よかったら後で一緒に写真を。キアラ、退出しなさい。はーい。じゃあ、また後でね。
Well, she's fine. The woman named Tiara winks a single eye shut behind her glasses and gives her lips a little smack as she leaves the office. I hadn't been particularly conscious of it before, but a certain characteristic of the woman catches my eye as she saunters out the door. My honest thoughts escape my mouth. Your secretary's got a pretty big butt.
何その感想。どういう皮肉？
Not particularly, just a straightforward expression of my observations.
あなた、それセクハラよ。
A superior using the words sexual harassment as a weapon to intimidate men is power harassment, my friend.
口の減らない子ね。
You think back in the day, a certain blonde used to complain about me not even answering when spoken to. I guess people really can change. Ignoring Jimmy's incensed glare with a composure born of long experience, I take the paper coffee cup by its cardboard sleeve and bring it to my mouth. Pretty good. Common joke that an officer's field orderly learns more about making coffee than anything else, but it seems there might be a bit of truth to it.
大体どうして学生服のまま来るのよ。服ならいくらでも買ってあげているでしょ。
Too much of a pain to get changed, that's all. Just a polite fiction, of course. I'm not quite that lazy. But honestly speaking, even if they bought me some Grisaia or Versucci or whatever, there's no way I'd be able to pull that look off. Or whatever. For one thing, JB, last time they forced me into a suit to get an updated photo for our internal records, I seem to remember you shouting, "Looks like someone's got a big date for the middle school prom." You didn't call me here to criticize my fashion sense, right? Can we get to the point?
言われなくても分かってるよ。
JB stalks over to the corner of her room, still sporting a sulky frown, to where a hefty little safe sits on the ground. And squatting down in a way that affords me fleeting glimpses of her thighs through the hem of her skirt, she begins to spin the dial installed on the front of it.
こっち見ないのよ。
Not to worry, if I feel the need for a little eye candy, I'll just take another look at the secretary's rear end before I head home.
そうじゃなくて、ダイヤルを覚えちゃダメよって言ってるの。
Not to worry, I'm not so starved for female company as to get turned on by a hunk of metal.
だからそうじゃなくて
Right, just a joke.
あなたの冗談を聞いていると生理が止まりそうだわ。
Oh, these two are so funny together. You'll sleep big on rubbers.
いいから。はい、これを見てもふざけていられる？
The envelope she thrusts violently before my eyes bears a red stamp reading "Fax copying strictly prohibited." When I open it, I find an official order document identified by serial number. The paper is specially coded. A standard fax or copy machine won't even pick up the characters. On top of which, after a certain period of time, the words will fade away to illegibility, all on their own. In other words, I can tell without even glancing at the details that this is an extra-departmental order, perfectly official but completely off our books. The sort of thing that absolutely can't come to light. Again, this isn't the first time I've gotten orders like these. I've had several of these envelopes handed to me, and without fail, their contents have always been assassination missions. High-ranking drug cartel bosses, corrupt politicians with dangerous political leanings. There's quite a difference in terms of social position and status, but individuals or groups determined by the collective will of the nation to pose a significant disadvantage to its interests are quietly, secretly removed from the stage. The nail that stands out gets pounded down, as they say. What? In assassination of that sort, sniping is a fairly common method. Typically, several shooters are assigned the same task. As with a firing squad, it's an attempt at easing the conscience by making it impossible to know who fired the killing shot, but even so, murder is murder. Hey, JB, I can't kill people anymore. You know that, right?
もちろん知っているわ。それが原因であなたが予備役になったことも理解しています。
I participated in several assassinations of this sort previously, but I'm fundamentally a coward. When it comes to taking human lives, I'll hesitate just as much as a normal person. No matter what kind of evil, worthless scum I'm looking at through my scope, my finger freezes up for a moment when I try to pull the trigger. That's a fatal defect for a sniper. Even so, when my master was alive, I managed to kill without thinking too much. When I told myself I was pulling the trigger in Asako's place, when I told myself that even a piece of garbage like me could be useful to Asako this way, I could fire without worrying about a thing. And when the job was over and I went home, Asako was there to embrace me and say, "Well done." She was there to confirm that I'd done the right thing. But Asako's gone. The person who bore the curses of the dead in my place is gone now. And she can't be replaced. Unless the words come from someone who stained their hands with blood, they can't offer me the slightest comfort. JB, I'm sorry, but you're not good enough. You know that perfectly well yourself, don't you? A sniper who can't pull the trigger is right up there with a radio that can't make a sound in the irritating, useless junk department. That's a good part of the reason I ended up on the reserve in the first place. Why would you even bother showing me this now?
分かっていると言ったでしょ。落ち着いて暗殺対象者の名前を見てみなさい。
What? Target Yuuji and Makina. Hey, what is this?
見ての通り、あなたと同じ学園に通うクラスメート、イリス・マキナが今回の標的よ。
You can't be serious. What the heck's going on?
理由は詮索しない。それもあなたの仕事の一部よ。
Why would Makina be? Who's the client?
私は知らないし、あなたも知る必要もないわ。所詮私も中間管理職。上からの命令をコマであるあなたたちに伝えるだけ。そしてあなたはその命令に従うだけ。違う。
She's not wrong. That's exactly how it is. JB brought me this job knowing full well that I can't kill, knowing about my relationship with Makina. At this rate, the girl's definitely going to be erased one way or the other. Is JB telling me I should be the one to do it, that if Makina has to die, dispatching her personally would be the kindest way? Or maybe this whole summons is nothing but a facade, and JB's sole objective was to tip me off to the threat to Makina's life in the form of an order. Whatever the case, I can't keep my shock from showing on my face. Why is this happening? Resisting the urge to grind my teeth, I lower my gaze to the document in my hand. The field where the issuer of the order would usually be named is blank, but nonetheless there are 3 stamps of authorization below. A tripartite order. This sort of shady job usually comes with Akasaka's approval alone, but this time we've got the full set. In other words, this mission was undertaken on the mutual agreement of Akasaka, Ichigaya, and Kasumi Gaseki. Definitely not something you see every day.
そういうこと。つまりは多少派手なことをしてもみんなでかばってくれるから大丈夫ということね。
Why are you showing this thing to me?
分かっているでしょ。赤坂の認証がある以上は私には最高かつ最適の人材を用意する必要があるのよ。私が知る限りあなた以上の適任はいないわ。
You want me to kill a classmate with my own hands? You've got some nerve, you shaggy-headed dimwitted.
私をなじって気が済むのなら何とでも言いなさい。ただし
You want a clear yes or no, right?
そういうこと。
Although it should probably go without saying, for a mission carried out with this level of secrecy, you're not typically going to get a briefing on the specifics before you accept the job. When the plan's going to be executed, where it'll be put into operation, who's participating, how many teams will be committed, you don't know a single thing in advance. Once you've listened to the plan in full, saying, I think I'll pass after all, isn't going to fly. In the first place, an agent only needs to understand their specific job. The broader circumstances aren't any of our concern. When you're a piece on the board, only 2 things are requested of you: the willingness to do what you're told, and the ability to make it happen. Your personal circumstances aren't worth anything. There's no compromise option. It's yes or no, one or the other.
嫌な目つきね。
Staring into my face, JB mumbles the words quietly. At the moment, I've probably got the look of someone who spotted a loathsome insect scuttling along the floor and crushed it emotionlessly, an unattractive mixture of disgust and cold-blooded cruelty. It's an expression you get used to seeing after spending enough time in his company, the expression of someone enduring injustice, resigned to ugly reality, the expression of an agent.
「あなたに用意された選択肢は2つ。イリス・マキナの暗殺を引き受けるか、何も見なかったことにして今すぐこの場を立ち去るか。
Do I have to make that choice right now?
任務の性質上、今日は帰ってゆっくり考えなさいとは言えないのよ。ましてやあなたは対象者と同じ施設に寝泊まりしている。もしあなたが現時点で任務への参加を拒否した場合、あなたの身柄はこのまま拘束されます。
Well, yeah, I'd imagine so. In other words, the moment I saw that document, the number of options available to me was essentially reduced to 1. The answer is yes.
賢明ね。
A tinge of relief in her voice. JB softly exhales the air in her lungs, then peers into my eyes as though searching for some reassurance of my loyalty.
星条旗に誓える？
Yeah, I'll swear it on the flag.
そう。だったら今日はもう帰っていいわ。詳細が決まり次第連絡します。
Understood. I promptly stand from the sofa and click my heels sharply together. Number 9029, resuming normal post on semi-alert status. JB averts her eyes from my steady gaze slightly, briefly glancing at the surveillance camera installed in the corner of her office. Most likely, they have staff standing by watching the monitor in real time as a precaution against me refusing the order. Pretending not to notice, I raise my head from the salute, then promptly leave the room. Well then, what to do? I'd been prepared for something ugly, but not to suddenly find myself placed on the side of those hunting Makina. That said, it's not like the current situation was completely outside the realm of my speculation. Considering the power and influence of the Urisu family, I'd vaguely hypothesized a scenario like this might be a possibility. Most likely, Akasaka is playing a large role in this one. Uncle Sam, the father of post-war Japan, kindly allowed us to develop wealth and influence under the banner of freedom and democracy. And the people running the show in Nagata-cho still haven't managed to move out of Dad's basement. I glance at the watch on my left wrist. 14:23. Seems that meeting in JB's office actually took less than 30 minutes. Coming to a halt a little ways before the bridge I crossed on my way here, I glance over at an outpost of a certain hamburger peddling multinational corporation. This sort of food isn't bad every once in a while. Muttering this blatantly artificial comment to no one in particular, I enter the fast food restaurant. Then make straight for the register, ordering the company's namesake burger, a side of french fries, and an iced coffee. After paying in advance, I take my drink and ticket and settle in at a seat by the window. The street outside is not especially busy at the moment, only a few passers-by. Among them, I notice a businessman of some sort standing in front of the bridge with his shirt sleeves rolled up and a jacket tucked under one arm. He's pressing a cell phone to his ear, obsequiously bowing his head over and over. Talking to his boss or client, either way, he won't be hanging around there for too long. Eventually, a member of the restaurant's floor staff comes over with my food on a plastic tray, exchanging it for the ticket in my hand. After a few vigorous bites into my burger, I glance out the window again, only to find that the businessman, who had been desperately apologizing into his phone, has already taken his leave. Been a while since I had a meal like this. Pretty tasty, but not exactly something I'd want to eat every day. Not bad, more or less sums it up. Once I've washed down the overly juicy hamburger with my iced coffee, I quickly shovel the thick french fries into my mouth. then put my tray away and promptly leave the restaurant. So he had 2 lunches. I glanced at my watch again, 14:31, 7 minutes in here. After making my way briskly back to the station, I take the stairs 2 at a time and slip my way into the premises. Once I descend to the appropriate platform, I walk all the way to the far end, boarding the very first car of the subway train that arrives with perfect timing. Since it's early afternoon, the subway isn't exactly crowded. I only count 6 passengers in the lead car, including myself. Ignoring the numerous empty seats, I turn around, open the door in the back of the carriage, and make my way into the next car. And there I find thoughts. The man who'd been kowtowing into his phone by the burger place seems to have caught this train as well. He's wearing the jacket formally under his arm, and his four-voice swept black back hairs now parted horizontally, but it's definitely him. The man catches his breath for a moment when I meet his eyes, but after I offer him a quick smile and nod, he jerks up one side of his mouth and furrows his brow in an expression of right resignation. Well, I guess it's only what you'd expect. The company might have allowed me to go home, but they're not quite soft enough to let me wander off alone. Under the circumstances, it's only natural that they'd have someone keeping an eye on me. Would you mind if I take that seat?
どうぞ。
There are empty seats all over the train, but I settle myself down right next to the man. This way, he won't have to bother pretending to read a newspaper while shooting me little glances out of the corner of his eye, a little gesture of professional courtesy on my part. Leaning back next to my new friend, I sink calmly into thought while pretending to study an advertising monitor above the exit. Since my immediate orders were to stand by, it's probably safe to assume there's going to be a few days of preparation before Makina's assassination is carried out. I want to believe they're going to approach this very carefully. One day on standby. One day for us to learn and absorb the details of the operation. One day for ordering and provisioning the necessary equipment and machinery. One day for general review and familiarizing ourselves with the equipment. Even estimating fairly generously, I've gained 4 days at the longest. If I had turned down the job, the company would simply have locked me down and given it to another agent. I bought myself a little time here, and now I need to use it to find a way out of this mess. That said, given the current situation, I'm not going to find any answers no matter how thoroughly I think this over. I'm suffering from an obvious and crippling lack of information. I can't even see my enemies. There's no harder way to fight a battle. Okay, I might be able to go a little further. The man who'd been sitting at my side, apparently finding the experience extremely awkward, removed himself from the train at the very first station stop. There wasn't any sign of someone taking his place afterward. On the whole, my return to Mishima Cape went off surprisingly smoothly, but... Guess it's not quite that easy. There is an unfamiliar motorcycle parked along the street near the entrance to the shopping district. Although the bike itself looks like it's fresh off the lot, the license plate on the back is noticeably battered and worn. Probably a special plate that's seen service on a number of vehicles over the years. Earning those paychecks, I see. Judging from the resources they've committed to surveillance, the client must be pretty on edge. Speaking of that client of ours, there are several points I'm having a difficult time getting my head around there. First and foremost, why have they suddenly decided Makina needs to die at this point? Considering we're talking about someone connected enough to request a job from our company, it's hard to believe they couldn't have arranged something like this a long time ago. Until now, Makina's enemies have been content to keep her stuffed away in a corner like a worthless employee too troublesome to fire. Even when she pokes her head out of the cage, they've limited themselves to warnings, however blunt. So, what's prompted this casual change in policy to an outright assassination? I can't understand why this client's allowed Makina to live until now, why they've only now decided to kill her. Something must have changed. There must be some reason they can't afford to worry about appearances anymore. If I could only identify that reason, I have a feeling I might be able to devise some counter strategies as well, but in the first place, who exactly is our enemy here? I think this is one question Makina herself wouldn't be able to answer, even if I were to explain the situation to her. Since they got Akasaka off its butt, we're talking about a group or individual with significant power on the global scale. Obviously, they're involved with the Irisu somehow, but the nation itself won't move its heavy buttocks for private interests. 3 stamps suggest the involvement of someone in the Pentagon, or maybe a shove from the NSA. Whatever the exact details, this is without a doubt turning into a proxy war against an extremely problematic opponent.
風見さん、お帰りなさいませ。お早いお戻りで何よりです。
Hey, Sachi, what's Makina up to?
はい、先ほどおやつにホットケーキを3枚ほど召し上がられまして、今はご睡をしていらっしゃいます。
Taking a siesta, huh?
はい、起こしますか？
No, that's alright. Might as well let her sleep.
かしこまりました。
Anything happen while I was gone?
あ、そういえば先ほど風見さん宛ての封筒が届きました。
A delivery for me?
はい、こちらになります。
I instantly recognized the pea green envelope Sachi casually produces. It's standard Asahi Clean stationery. Who brought this over exactly? My name's written on the envelope, but there's no address or post office stamp. We generally don't make a policy of entrusting internal documents to middlemen like the Postal Service. Someone from the company must have brought it directly. 申し訳ありません。相手の方のお名前は確認しておりませんが、
おそらくはバイク便業者の方かと。
I see. Motorbike messengers are right up there with taxi drivers as a popular side job at Ichigaya. The delivery man was almost certainly a coworker of mine. Actually, come to think of it, I'm impressed you even got him to hand it over. Normally speaking, any internal document, let alone something you go out of your way to transport via sneakernet, would be designated direct delivery only, but here we are.
はい。最初は本人にしか渡せないとの一点張りだったのですが、では渡していただけるまで私もここを動きませんと申し上げたところ、15分後に私に託してくださいました。
Just a guess here, but I'm thinking that delivery man had been planning to wait for my return out by the main gate or something. Probably wasn't expecting to deal with an expressionless woman in full maid uniform standing rigidly at his side like a diminutive Buckingham Palace guard. The man might well have tried to be considerate, probably told Sachi, "It's fine, I'll take care of it," or asked, "Why don't you at least sit down?" This, of course, would have earned nothing but a curt "No thank you," as the perfect stationary girl continued to bore into him with her steady, unblinking gaze. That's pretty much just the way our Komini Sachi's personality works, but, well, I can understand how it might seem more than a little creepy to an outsider. Probably broke under the sheer psychological pressure, although only lasting 15 minutes is pretty darn pitiful any way you look at it.
何やら急に頭を両の手でかきむしり始めまして、ああ、もうわかったわかった、渡せばいいんだろうともすればやけくそになったかのようなご様子でしたが、私は何か悪いことをしたのでしょうか。
Oh, you're fine, Sachi. More importantly, was the man who delivered this envelope maybe riding a new-looking black motorcycle?
はい、確かに黒いオートバイでした。お知り合いの方ですか？
Nah, that's not it. Just noticed this unfamiliar motorcycle stopped at the entrance to the shopping district, so I was wondering if it might have been him. I see. So he switched right over to surveillance after dropping off the documents to me. If the guy can get worn out by Sachi here, he's probably a pretty darn green new part-timer, but an observer with that kind of mobility is still somewhat troublesome. In any case, the envelope got to me in the end. Thanks, Sachi.
はい、お役に立てて幸いです。
A delivery from the company right now almost certainly has something to do with the assassination we just discussed, but the envelope's strangely thick. From what Sachi told me, the messenger stopped by about an hour and a half ago. At the time, I was still in JB's office. In other words, the woman could have handed these to me herself if she wanted to. So why go out of your way to use an employee to deliver them? I guess the simplest explanation would be they didn't want to hand over too much intelligence on the spot in case I decided to refuse my orders. Well, no point speculating until I've at least taken a look at the contents. This is the thick sheaf of A4 paper that emerges from the envelope is covered in dense arrays of tiny characters, as if deliberately designed to crush the reader's willpower before they've even begun. There's only one person I know who goes around making reports this maliciously dense. JB, huh? The bundle of paper is as thick as one of those weekly manga tomes. As I begin a preliminary flip through, skimming past lengthy sentences embodying JB's over-serious German personality, several bolded phrases quickly catch my eye. The prosperity of the Irisu clan, light and shadow. Yuuji and Makina, birth to the present day. Extra Departmental Order number 11847, detailed plan. Well, geez. Okay, no wonder she couldn't hand it over directly. This looks like a grab bag of highly restricted material. Even the people directly involved in organizing the job probably don't have access to such a comprehensive rundown of the facts. Some of the documents in this thing are clearly marked. Removal and copying strictly prohibited. As a whole, this is dangerously outside the range of what JB is permitted to spread around on her personal initiative. What the heck is that woman thinking? However, it's clear that the majority of the information I need is hiding in this bundle of paper. To be honest, it's about the best gift I could have hoped for right now. Why show me all this? Just what do you expect me to do, JB? Putting that aside, it seems like it'll take 2 or 3 days to just read it all. Well, whatever. I'm a chronic insomniac anyway, so it shouldn't be hard to find the time. If nothing else, a decent sleep aid's always appreciated. I take out some oolong tea from the fridge and drink deeply and loudly straight from the bottle. For the first time since leaving JB's office, I feel halfway human again. With a deep sigh, I drop myself down onto the floor, then focus my attention on the first document of many. That's good. Makina's assassination. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm kind of scared. Just getting scarier and scarier. Bye.